Out of all places this could have started from, it was a Reddit post. Okay, to be honest, that's exactly where I thought the story would start. In the subreddit r/creepy cartoons, people would post threads about, what else, creepy cartoons. People would post threads most often about cartoons most saw as a child, and talk about how it traumatized them, and start a conversation. Mickey Mouse cartoons were no strangers to this subreddit. You could find people discussing such classics like The Mad Doctor, Runaway Brain, or the one where Pluto goes to literal hell. But then, one user posted the words, Mickey Mouse alone. They described this episode as, Mickey wakes up one day and finds that he is alone. Minnie, Donald, Goofy, Pete, Daisy, even Pluto are all gone. It was one of the older episodes, I think, in black and white. I've tried looking it up, but I can't find it. Maybe it was on some sort of DVD, but if that was the case, I would think looking it up would be easier. Some that chose to engage with the post also recalled such a short, giving even more detail. I know exactly what you're talking about. Wasn't he also in a theater too? And some others stated that they first saw it on YouTube. To those who've never heard of this, it sounds like nothing special, judging from the descriptions alone. But upon looking it up, there is no information about this short film. But with the information about it being seen on YouTube, people took to the Internet Archive. On there, the video was found. The title is simply Mickey Mouse Cartoon. The channel's username is suicidemouse.avi, and both the channel and video date back all the way to 2008. The view count goes up to 200k, so a fair amount of people saw this. However, the channel was terminated most likely due to copyright. But after all of that, the actual video itself doesn't work. The only thing we can get from it is the thumbnail, which is probably a frame from the video. Once this image surfaced, it seemed to have sparked more memories. Those who watched the video said that the letter M would frequently appear in it. With all of this, it looked like we had ourselves a case of lost media. Thus began the search for the short where Mickey Mouse wakes up alone, or most commonly known as simply Once the lost cartoon gained a lot of eyes on it, more people joined the search, or made their own theories. And even more people who claimed to have seen the video were coming in to give out more details. One of the most common visuals that most of the viewers recalled was a scene where Mickey walks down a sidewalk. This became the most iconic piece of imagery from this story, and with this came many fan-made creations, either trying their best to recreate the story with all the descriptions people gave, or most commonly, they would just have Mickey walk down a road for 9 minutes and something spooky happens along the way. Some even began to mistake the original uploader's name, Suicide Mouse, as the name for the short, which, as you can see, a lot of fan videos used that name. Despite all those fan recreations though, they were just merely that, fan-made. People were still trying to look for the real deal. But then, some began to become skeptical of the film's existence, saying that it could be the case of a shared Mandela effect, similar to the Polybius urban legend. Or what if the video itself was a fan-made creation, as in not an official Disney product? And even if it was an official old Mickey Mouse cartoon, then the chances of it being found were even lower. The older lost media is, the more likely it is to stay lost. Just look at 1916's Family Opera, 1927's London After Midnight, or, speaking of Disney, the Mickey and Minnie sex tape. But people still didn't give up hope. After all, Mickey in Vietnam was in a similar situation, and that was eventually found. And regardless if it was fan-made or official, there was proof that it did exist, so there must be at least something out there. This is where George Leopold comes in. George has worked with restoring old films for Disney for years, and yes, even ones that were thought to be lost. He's usually the one people contact if any lost film like M is discovered. He's actually the one who found the Vietnam short, so surely this guy should be the one to find the long-lost Mickey Mouse cartoon? He was actually contacted as soon as M gained popularity, but was silent because he simply did not care for it. It was only fairly recently that he began his search. Spoiler alert, he ended up making a Google Doc about the film. But at first he looked through his film reel archive, checking any cartoon that he wasn't too familiar with. Nothing. He did some of his own digging on the internet, but went no further than other people who already tried looking for it. And he grew even more frustrated when he found out Suicide Mouse and M were not even the short's official names. It looked like this would require him to go over every old Mickey cartoon, which would take forever. George made some tweets saying what people have already speculated. It was fan-made, depending on how old it is, it might never be found, or Disney has it locked in the vault. Either way, he continued. He contacted some of his old worker buddies if they had also heard of the film, giving it as much detail as he could and showing them the only official screenshot. Only one of them knew exactly what film he was talking about, and that wasn't until he showed the picture and mentioned the supposed title, M. Not only did his friend know the movie, he also knew where it was. The Film Reel Archive at Walt Disney Studios in Burbank. What? George and his friend, as mentioned, have been working at Disney for years at this point and have been in the film archive on multiple occasions, so how could it have just been there all this time? George went over to the archive and over to the cartoon section, and sure enough, it was just there. Even stranger was when he looked at the label. It said the date, March 14th, 1938, and next to that, the title, M. At first, George thought it was a joke. How could this film have been here the entire time? How and who uploaded it on YouTube? And how did the title that people merely guessed turn out to be the actual title? His friend insisted that George could take the film home, saying that Disney didn't care for it, and its copyright had already expired. And then George, quite simply, went back home with the film in hand without being stopped. Once home, he put the film in the projector and went over it. At the time, he went over on his Twitter account and tweeted that he found the film. He described it as unfinished because it was only storyboarded. The music was someone poorly playing a piano. It sometimes even sounded like they were just banging random keys. The movie didn't even have an ending, it just stopped. As a whole, it was nearly 3 minutes. He also mentioned something bizarre with the date, too. This was 1938. All of Disney's shorts were in color at that point and had a new style. Yet in this, all the characters looked like they were from 1930 to 1934. Another thing about the date,
March 14th! Wait, that's not right. It should say
the day of technically the 100th Mickey short.
Everything he then described about the short was exactly as what the people who watched it years ago said it was. This is what he saw.
That's it? That's the last episode? That was just
Storyboards.
After the fans confirmed that what he described was the correct movie, he went on to say that he was still reluctant to publish it fully, in fear of it being taken down. But his friend did vaguely say that Disney didn't care for it, and that it was in the public domain, so George went on to make a digital version to release to the public. With the digitized copy, he saw that the film was not nearly 3 minutes, but instead almost 8. The next 5 minutes was something that not even the viewers from all those years ago ever saw. Here it is. I'm gonna be honest here, I think the Mad Doctor is scarier. After it was uploaded, George reported that there was no phone call saying he had 7 days to live after watching the film. Disappointing, I know. But that's not to say that this movie didn't leave him with a deep sense of dread. Even after the film had officially been found, the identity of the creator and original uploader have been left a mystery. The uploader, I'm not so sure, but as for the creator, they're most likely gonna stay unknown. If this is truly from 1938, the creator could be dead for all we know. But one thing is for sure, after all of this movie was not a Mandela effect, it wasn't something people were remembering wrong, it was an actual film that has now been officially found. It wasn't something people were remembering wrong. It was an actual film that wasn't something people were remembering wrong. It was people were remembering wrong. People were remembering wrong. Remember. Bye.